The most important and difficult part about creating apps that actually make money is finding out what the real problems are and what people will not be able to live without when you make a software solution. After many failed attempts at creating apps that actually work in the market, spending months, sometimes over a year on creating apps that nobody really ends up caring about, I've found that I really need to get to the end user, get to the problem that people are experiencing over and over again. And more importantly, a lot of people are also having that same problem. So in this video, I'm going to take you through our discovery that I'm doing with my buddy Alan, and he's a sales manager. He's noticing that account executives and development representatives are having the same issue over and over again when they're talking with prospects on video calls. You'll see how we work through initial problems, take general notes, distill these long conversations down to bullet points, and then actually work out usable features and how the experience would be for that end user. I'm going to be continuing to upload videos and doing live streams about software development, creating apps for the marketplace, and even coding. So be sure to like, subscribe, and join us on YouTube Live or Twitch. So what is that that format that you were talking about?
Oh, it's called MedPick.
MedPick.
Yeah. So if you just go on, it's 2Ds, 2Ps. And that's kind of like the standard framework, like for enterprise organizations.
Standard framework for enterprise organizations is
Yeah.
MedPick. Let's open the image in a
Most
new tab here.
organizations use it. You know, I think smaller organizations, they use like BANT and like a few other things. And, you know, it's just depending on what it is. You have like very long sales cycles, you know, for like big enterprise software. OneString, Anaplan, Oracle, you know, or some other organization. This is definitely the framework that you want to use. Yeah, just has everything on there. Some AEs, they follow it to the book. Some don't, just depending on like internal policies and all that kind of stuff. But that's literally like the bread and butter. Like every, you know, in the intro call and, you know, any calls following, this is kind of like what they follow. So
All right,
yeah.
so every salesperson is using this paradigm here. Is this in the is this in the first call, like with the AE is having with the prospect?
That's usually the hope.
Okay.
That's usually the hope, you know.
Well, the hope is that you hit all of these, but this is what they're using in that first call that AA is doing.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so metrics, potential gain, economic buyer. Okay, who if they're the right person to be talking to actually make the purchase decision.
Yep.
Decision process, define the client to make the purchase decision. Know and influence the process defined by the client to make. Okay, so like, how do they actually make choices in the organization to actually make the purchase?
Right.
Decision criteria, know and influence the criteria defined by the client to make purchase decision. All right. Paper process, understand how the customer places a purchase order, steps needed for approval, identify pain, okay, champion, okay. Okay, so basically like the person that's going to be your spokesperson within the corporation that's saying, hey, we should buy this.
Yep.
And then competition, who you're competing with. Okay. So what is the main problem is while in the call, like what is the thing that like when salespeople complain to you about this, like what is the number one like thing that they're saying that their complaint is?
And it's just supposed to like record, you know, in text, just your transcripts from the meeting, important parts and, you know, whatever. And I think the biggest issue is it's very just generalized. You know, actually, there's two issues. One, it's very generalized. You know, it pretty much just records anything, and then it types it out. You know, like it types what it hears and like what it understands. You know, just very general. And then second, there's no there's no way to like in Zoom or within all these other applications to like give it a task, you know, for like an in-meeting task. So like if you're actually in a meeting with a client, or you're in like a demo, or you're in like some type of call, to like insert some type of task for the AI companion, like, hey, like look out for these keywords, or hey, you know, look out, you know, for when the client says this or that, you know, just any predetermined keyword or you know, strategic objective that they say in the meeting, which I think would be super helpful, because you know, like if you know, just go back and you know, you look at your, you know, like if you're a newer AE and then you're newer to the organization, and you go back and you look at other case studies, you know, of other clients, and you know, and other AEs, and how they got the med pick, and you know, you kind of just put that as like a preloaded requirement into the AI companion. It just makes it so much easier. So when you're done with the meeting, you kind of have like full clear scope. Is like, hey, you know, with MedPick, you know, inside the meeting they could just pre-fill all of those, and it just kind of, you know, it's just helpful. You know, it's just very helpful to have that with you. Because you know, then you have to just sift through all the words from like a Zoom AI companion recap or some other recap, and you don't really know, and sometimes it's like misspelled, or sometimes they don't really like understand what you say, and like all this other stuff. Because it's like on my team, like when we talk and stuff, you know, you know, because like we're so close, and like all of us, you know, like we've been in sales for a long time, so we know the game. You know, we really, you know, like we're really on our stuff, and we're very high performing, but we always understand the importance of like building the relationship with the team, and always taking that 5 to 10 minutes before like a meeting, and just kind of like building rapport and doing all that. I'm seeing with the AI companion is they take that and they kind of like use that for like the rest of the call. So you could like read the transcripts after it, and it's kind of funny. You know, they could just put like, hey, you know, like if I'm speaking with, I'm a colleague, let's just say, hey, you know, I have plans to go to like Hawaii or stuff. It would literally like integrate your Hawaii plans somewhere in like, you know, even if you guys enter like a weird discussion call. It's so weird, yeah. So it's just like it doesn't have pre-inserted inputs on, you know, MedPick and like all the important stuff. It kind of just records anything. So yeah, there was a feature where it's like, hey, I could put MedPick in, and I could input all the requirements that I'm supposed to get in the meeting, and then, you know, when we say a certain keyword or strategic objective or whatever, and it aligns there, that'd be perfect. That'd be so great. That'd be awesome. It would save so much time. We don't have to go back and like watch recordings, and we don't have to go back and look through this transcript and kind of, you know, hope that we understand what it says and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like the basis of it, you know.
Let's see. It's the transcript is too general, so that you have to scan through the transcript
Yep.
to get. Okay, so transcript too general, no specifics to sales process. Okay, and then um, weird behavior from the AI companion. You said that, like you said, it was like doing some weird crap because it's so general.
Well, what it does is it tries to match your earlier conversations to like later conversations in the meeting, and the alignment doesn't really make sense. So like if I just say, hey, you know, like, hey, you know, like I say, hey, Chris, like, you know, we're in a meeting room for, you know, we have like an internal meeting, and our client's like, oh yeah, I did it. Hey, I just came to Hawaii, you know, and I did this, and this. It will literally mention that trip to Hawaii and like other like important aspects of the meeting. It's so weird. It
Oh,
probably triggers something in there because it's like super generalized. So, like if I say something vague, like it's very hard to explain. But yeah, but like if you say something early on in the conversation, I don't know if it's programmed to kind of use
okay.
that, uh, you know, to kind of connect the dots later in the meeting. Which I guess it's good in theory if it works, but it's just very flawed because like it has mismatching. Like, you know, your trip to Hawaii has nothing to do with, you know, an internal call, and you know, to see if they have budget or if they have, you know, strategic priorities and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of like mismatching and like what it hears and how it like aligns, you know, what it hears into, yeah.
it takes too much context from different parts of the conversation, and then it influences the transcript, so that the transcript becomes confusing because the context is weird, because it's like now everything's around Hawaii because Hawaii was mentioned.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It can't recognize the main topic of discussion.
Transcript is too general, no specifics to sales process. Conversation transcripts is centralized around weird context from extraneous subjects. And is there a desire to be able to know if you've like have something to tell you that you hit this thing? Like the if you
Like a reminder.
you hit
Yeah.
the M, like it says, it felt like it shows you the M, and it's like, yeah, you got this. And then it kind of looks out and it kind of gives you like notifications that you hit all these.
That would be helpful. Yeah, I think that would be, helpful. Yeah.
Because are you trying to read the transcripts like
Well, it's trying to think
during
like,
the meeting?
do you just kind of want the end of the meeting recap to be the important stuff? You just don't want it to be like everything said in the meeting and like all that other hooglosh. You want it to be very, very targeted to MedPick because, I mean, that's why we're in sales. We're in sales to get paid, and anything that streamlines the process is helpful. So everything else, it's just like it just takes hours to go through it and read it, and it's like, oh, I'm not really so sure. It's like I gotta watch the video again, and then I gotta kind of like, to decipher what he's saying if I don't really understand.
So the problem isn't during the meeting. It's showing up like where you're where you want to you want to be able to do your meeting like you would normally,
Yep.
and only focus on what you normally focus on, and then what you want to change or what you want to be able to have is to be able to trust that the transcript is going to be incredibly useful after.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
So initial stuff, like we're not even focused on during the meeting. We're just like, it's basically like, hey, your shit's ready. So you just click on the thing and then it lines it all out for you.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think those are the day. I mean, like a very young AE could probably fix that, but a very young AE doesn't really sell that much because it's more about building a relationship. It's about being authentic. There's definitely a human side, and if you're just reading off of a script and you're just trying to make sure you hit all these points, and
Yeah, that could be a problem.
yeah, it's a big problem for a newer AE. Of course, they hey, hey, I have some questions after the call, and it's literally like they're reading off a script, but yeah, it would be, so that, just mid conversation, where something comes up saying, hey, you got Metro, all this kind I feel like that just kind of like that could take the relationship side out very quickly, and it could just turn into like a super strict,
Like robotic and everything.
yeah, ruin rapport, ruin any type of, likeness that the other people had of you. So, yeah, just a post-meeting script or a post-meeting med pick where, post-meeting, boom, it has all the med pick, and hey, if it didn't get the med pick, then hey, you know what to focus the next few calls on, because there are so many times where it's like, okay, we had an intro call and I got some good stuff, and then it's like, okay, well, we set up the second meeting for 2 weeks from now. What was the meeting about again? And then it's like, okay, well, we're in the second meeting, and it's like, well, I took kind of good notes, and I recorded it, but I didn't quite, it's just kind of, there's a few things, and then you go into the second meeting, and you ask the same questions, and then they come disengaged, and it's like, it's nothing new, it's it's stuff they already repeated. They're like, I don't know if I kind of want to, follow through with this, and so yeah, that's pretty much, what it is. It's, something where it's a post meeting med pick, and then it kind of gives you an agenda for the next few meetings and all that kind of stuff. So it could be useful for that as well.
Now I want to get into usability. So we already showed that it needs to app is used post meeting for review. Besides having all those things lined out, is there anything else that it needs to have, or like it? Okay, so the better way to put it is, after you've reviewed the transcript, what is the next thing you do? After you write out, like you maybe circle the things or whatever, like what's the next thing you do after that?
Well, it should have a copy and paste feature, that we copy and paste it into our main doc that has all the information. Or copy and paste into Salesforce where the notes are. So, make sure that it has that feature.
Okay, needs to be able to be moved into parent documents or Salesforce. So copy paste is fine for V1.
Another super cool thing would be because like, I'm assuming like if if this is like a plug-in or if this is like its own independent software, but you're supposed to use Zoom, or maybe it's its own independent video meeting service. If it could take the notes from the first meeting and then cross-reference them after your second meeting, that would be ideal. So like, if you have all the notes and the med pick and like probably 5 or 6 things were covered, but 3 weren't. On the second meeting, the post meeting, it automatically takes the notes from the first one and cross-references it to the second meeting. So it pretty much, it follows you through the whole, meeting process and the sales process, and it can kind of just like cross-reference each other. That'd be ideal. So it's like, on your second meeting, instead of having to just like redo the whole process, if you hit the 3 main points, it just adds them on there.
Okay, that's gonna be a version 2 because that's gonna be a lot more complicated. But
Yeah.
okay,
acting like it's so easy to just cut this thing up.
that's everybody. So the most important things is that you can review the notes, they're sectioned out properly,
Yep.
and you can basically copy and paste them into, for like something that sort of works. For now, you can just copy and paste that in however you want into whatever document you need it in.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Yep. I was saying the ability to share, also to share with like a sales engineer who's on the call, or share with a client, or to share. I mean, obviously not the client, but like share with other people on your team to make sure everything looks right. That would also be a very good feature to have.
Share.
Your transcript, your med pick.
Do you do that now?
We do, but we have to copy and paste. Or if everybody's on the meeting, they usually get they always everybody gets the meeting transcript that's on the meeting. So
okay.
it's already kind of there, I guess.
So everyone, or do they get emails of the transcript?
Yep. Everybody
Okay.
gets like a post meeting Zoom transcript.
Everyone is sent an auto email of the transcript. Everyone is sent an auto email of the transcript post meeting that is in meeting. Okay, so just to review, app needs to have all these things lined out. Post meeting needs to be easier to pick out like what points are hit. Need to be able to copy and paste them in any way, so you can put all these things wherever you need them in like the parent document or in Salesforce. And after the meeting is over, everybody is automatically sent an invitation to view this transcript.
Yep.
It might need to be a plugin, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because like if they could plug into Google Meets or Loom or Zoom, just whatever organizations use. I personally use Zoom for everything, and they have a few plugins that they suck, and it takes forever, and it's just not worth it. So Zoom has been like the choice for everybody, and then for like a startup or like a mid enterprise company, it's usually the Meets of the Google Meets. So. Or hey, I mean, if it's something that you could have on like Chrome, like if you're using Zoom on Chrome or something, that would be ideal.
Like a Chrome.
Like
So
Chrome extension.
So Chrome extension, and you wouldn't want to try to like work with the document in like an extension window. You'd want to have like a web app.
Right. Yeah.
That
ideally to be sent to your email too.
app. Yeah, everybody sent the email. Chrome extension that goes to web app. Do you even need to have like a user interface, or if it just sends you an email. I'm talking like version 1, like bare bones fixing the problem. If it just basically sends you a better transcript
That's it. That's
over
all
the
we need.
email.
Yeah, and if you could like preload it too, or if you could tell the AI, hey, look out for these terms, like, you know,
Okay.
like insert probably 4 or 5 other client studies where it's like, hey, we got all the med pick by finding this, this, and this. So like, look out for these key terms in our disco call and all of our other calls, and then it matches that. That would be ideal. That would be so nice. Because then it already knows. So like instead of adding, your trip to Hawaii or or some other stupid thing that you said on the call, it only gets like meat and potatoes, and that's all it needs.
So would it make sense to somebody if like you had like a little really simple little dashboard where it has these things, and then you can basically just, it has a little thing like key terms, and then you can just add key terms that match
Yep.
this little deal.
Yep, that would be very helpful. Yeah.
Okay. UX to add key terms to each med pick item. All right. That's so like basically a control panel. Okay.
Yeah, I just think the basis of everything is just like make sure like it's predetermined, like it knows what to look for. Like, like hey, if you and I are talking about scratching our balls outside, or hey, I fell on my skateboard, or something like, I don't want to see that in the transcript.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Devin asks the customer, hey customer, what is all your budget season? Oh, well, Devin, our buying process has to go through RFPs, and our decision maker Rob has to get approved by our CFO, and it does all this other stuff. That's what we want. We don't want it's like, oh, okay, cool, and then Rob, this happens all the time in sales call. He slips out, oh, dude, fucking like, Aaron's a dick, or like, oh, Aaron, he takes forever, and it just, we just want the meat and potatoes. We don't want all the other shit that we say or that they say. Like, we just like, we're looking for med pick, and we're looking for that, and like, I guess it wouldn't hurt if it had all that other stuff in it, and like if it can't be that accurate, but like,
Well, you can send the original transcript too.
right, yeah, but like the main meat and potatoes is med pick. Like, if anything that you preset as med pick, and if it's set in the call, it automatically goes to the dashboard and gives you med pick instead of all this other hooplash.
It does sound like it needs to be incredibly simple and easy to use,
Yeah.
and like almost you don't yeah, you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
Give me a UX design for this. Okay, now it's making a picture. Yeah. All right, so something kind of like this, where I mean, this isn't going to be exact, but it's basically
Yeah,
like,
perfect. Yeah. So like after the meeting, it just shows you something like that, and then it kind of.
well, this is the configuration. So it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so if you can just add key phrases here, and they
Yep.
kind of keep going down,
Yep.
and so I don't know, like this is wrong, but if you have like key phrases here,
Yeah. Make sure you could add a lot too, because it could be.
you need to add a lot.
Yeah, like key phrases like an economic buyer. Like if you're working for an oil company, their titles are completely different than working for like a tech company or whatever. Like you have to be able to put in a bunch of stuff. But yeah, no, I think that looks great.
Okay, so I work for Emertech, right? Let's say I'm an AE for Emertech. Now, am I like, is there a situation where I need to have like, for metrics, there when I'm talking to a doctor, there's going to be maybe 5 different key phrases that I would want it to look out to when I'm talking to a doctor, and then when I'm talking to a trade show person, there's 5 different key phrases that I'd want it to look for that situation. And then there's like different segments.
Oh, yeah, because we do sell into sales, we do sales into marketing, and they all kind of have like their own keywords and their own business problems. They all have like a different focus in terms of a strategic objectives. Sure, yeah, I think that'd be helpful. Yeah, so like if you're talking to a salesperson, his strategic objectives, would be completely different than talking to somebody who's marketing or education or training. Yeah.
So you would like if one AE, there could be a situation as he's talking to these different segments where he's just like, I need 100 different like key phrases to look out for to cover all of these segments.
Yeah.
All right, so that means we would have to have we would need to have a different configuration, different configurations for different types of meetings. Can easily switch between configs with plugin. I wonder. The only concern is that maybe like when they take the meeting, they forget to change the configuration, so then it like picks up on the wrong things.
Well, I can give you like a notification. Are you sure?
Oh yeah, probably.
Like, kind of just give you like a reminder. You know, like if you go into a call, hey, is this sales? It's like, oh, actually no, I'm talking to the CMO. So
Ensure
I
notification
just put down
for
the trough down
configuration
below and then put CMO, and then it just resets the
selected
little,
on each meeting.
requirement.
All right. I think that's all I got, man.
Cool.
That's discovery. So that's the basic. That is the basic stuff. Now I kind of have. I know we took it from like this to like really specific things to actual features, and now I gotta put that out into tasks. So
Cool.
thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to check me out at Crantonimo on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm streaming nearly every day around 7 p.m. Central to about 9 p.m. Central. Also doing some game streams where we'll talk about software development while playing video games. Right now, doing a lot of Night Rain, Depth of Night. Currently at Depth of Night 3, so come join.